What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the A Show with the Kings of Pro Wrestling Podcasts. And yes, we are awesome. I am Justin here with Meelz 190, episode 190.
Hey, you think you'll be able to hear this in Dolby Atmos sound? No?
Who can they hear this? Can you hear this?
I can hear it. Listen, the soundboard is back.
Soundboard's back. So for the past couple of weeks, every time we've recorded on Zencastr, I have forgot to plug in my soundboard. And I know I put it 2 weeks ago, oh, there's sound quality with this. And everyone's like, you sound normal. When you record a podcast for as long as me and Meelz has, you can tell when you don't sound normal. And it bothered me. It's been bothering me for the past 2 weeks. So I'll make sure it never happens again. You can tell.
Normally with those type of things, if I have any sort of sound issues, which happens pretty frequently with all the other pods and stuff, especially like on the lookout and stuff like that, I will just send it out into the world and I will forget about it. And that's kind of all that I have to do. I just be like, yo, I'm gonna upload it. Hope you guys get a laugh or something. I sound like I'm in a bathroom, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah. So, it happens. It happens to the best of us.
Absolutely. And I mean, we're here. We're almost at episode 200. Don't ask us. Don't ask us.
I don't know. I don't know. We got to plan this shit. We got 10 episodes between this. Look out! I'm also approaching episode 100 of that. So yeah, I'm stressed. It feels like planning a birthday. You know what? Have the worst thing I've been planning. I want to see all my friends again. So I'm like, okay, maybe I should plan a picnic. But I hate planning events because I don't like planning things anymore. Like there's too much stuff that goes on in my brain and it gives me too much anxiety in terms of like making sure everyone's having a good time. Who am I inviting? Who am I not inviting? Who's going to mix well together, et cetera, et cetera. And I want to have this picnic type of thing.
Right.
But I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know. I've been holding this off. I'm like, yo, Juneteenth is almost here. It'll be a great weekend to do it. But I just don't know. I need someone to help me with my anxiety of like planning things because it happens even for my birthday. My birthday, I'll be like in August and I'll go to someone else's birthday thing. And I'm like, man, I should do one of these shits for myself. Like just to hang out with people that I love. But then I get to my. Go ahead.
You know what's crazy? You say you're not a planner, but you're like one of the best planners. Like you actually plan really well.
It's weird with like actual, I don't know. It's like, I'm not the same type. I can definitely plan stuff like social media wise, online wise, all this other stuff like that. But when it comes to actually like in-person things where I have to kind of like figure out a venue and then figure out how many people are coming and then coordinate with the venue. Like I remember I didn't have necessarily a hard time, but when you plan with black people and suddenly 14 turns to 7, then 7 turns to 4, and then suddenly there's the 3 of you guys just drinking whatever, doing something. So I have that type of anxiety. Also, I have the anxiety of, and this comes from me as like a student. So I was an engineering student, so I was studying all the time in college.
Right.
So I would never go to any parties. Everyone would ask me, yo, you coming to this thing? Nah, I can't. I got to study, blah, blah, blah. Yo, you coming to this? Nah, I'm going to leave early. I got to go study, blah, blah, blah. So I've gotten to my mind the idea of when I eventually throw something, no one's ever going to come because I didn't come to any of their shit ever.
Right.
So, I don't know. It's a weird phobia.
I mean, a lot of planning going into a wedding. So I've learned a side of myself with this that I never knew. Like I'm creative directing. Like I don't know. You've seen the save the dates that are coming out.
Of course, I have. Yes.
Be on the lookout. Check your mail if you listen.
We'll post it in the Patreon.
Yeah, post it in
the Patreon. I'm gonna post it in the Patreon.
But I mean, it's creative directed, and it's a side that I never even knew. You know what I mean? And yeah, like it's definitely going to ramp up in the next couple of weeks as we plan actual invitations, and that's going to be its own thing. I want to do a vlog of all of the photo shoots that we've been doing for the past month. Like me and my fiance have done a lot of photo shoots. I think more than she even knows. She's done a lot of photo shoots.
Listen, I
Just
don't know about photo shoots, man. I don't feel comfortable with other people taking pictures of me. It's weird. It's weird. I have all types of different. Listen, this is. I'm exposing a lot about myself on this episode 190. You're learning a lot more about me than.
yeah, we're settled in. The honeymoon period's over. we're, we're when you get home, dinner's already made. You already ate. We're on the couch.
Yeah. Yeah, we're fucked up. It might be the heat too. It's super hot in New York. I just had to turn the AC off so you guys can have actual great sounding quality podcasts. So
Okay,
I'm
thank
about to
you.
be here for another 90 minutes, and I'm about to. If I take my shirt off, don't worry about it.
Oh wow, okay, there you go. Speaking of relationships, we got some new relationships with some Patreon join
Ooh,
subscribers. I want to shout out at the top of the show here some of our new members. We got Darren Ezel, thank you, thank you, Darren. Joshua Hill, thank you, Josh. We got Josh Gorange, thank you as well. Jeff Trotter, thank you so much. And Joel Canan, is it Canan?
Canaan.
Canan. I never want to be that person.
But thankfully you are, because you just jump right into it, and I'm just like, all right, well. Don't think of me. I gotta mispronounce people's names.
It's my fault. It's my fault. But thank you, sir, for subscribing.
He's gonna say something like you mispronounced it again.
I know. I'm a piece of shit. But if I said it wrong in the comments of this on our Patreon, which you can sign up for right now, patreon.com/DAShowRNC, put a comment on this episode, and I will apologize profusely for minutes about saying the name wrong. Speaking of the Patreon, we had a new show debut this week that's getting a lot of really good reviews. I think a lot of people really love it. The Invasion Diaries with Meelz kind of going on his little Walter Cronkite, Dan Rather shit about this. Come on, Meelz, talk about it.
Listen, I love this show. Like I said, I've already got 3 episodes in the bank right now. We got the next episode coming up. It's going to feature you again, Justin Davis, and also feature Mark from RSPN, as he revealed many weeks ago. But it's a fun experience. I like going back. My favorite part is going back to the year 2001. My favorite parts are revisiting these old Raws and kind of like realizing that everything is kind of in a vacuum because Raw has been just a terrible show for the last over 2 decades. And just kind of like exploring things that we ourselves, we've been doing this podcast for the last 3-4 years. Just kind of exploring things that we've never actually talked about. Like, what are our thoughts? I think generally I know our thoughts about like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Mm-hmm. Like the man, listen, I watched the Invasion pay-per-view the other day for one of the other episodes. He turns on the Invasion. He turns on the WWF. The Alliance wins. Booker T gets the pin. And somehow still Stone Cold Steve Austin's music ends the show. So we have experiences like that we're going to go through as well. It's a fun experience. This is going to be going on for the next couple of weeks. So make sure you guys sign up to the Patreon. You're going to get all these episodes. And yeah, we're just having fun with it, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do have one more announcement, but I don't want to actually announce it yet. It's an announcement of an announcement.
Ooh, I like that.
Coming in the next, I want to say within the next 2 weeks. So we're going to give Invasion Diaries some room to breathe. But I have my own show coming with my Insider. Yeah, we're keeping the content coming. So I don't want to give it away yet, but tune in next week. We'll give you the release date and what the show is and what it's about. It's a brand new show strictly for Patreon. It's going to be really, really dope. And we're taking a deep dive. And this is thanks to you guys giving us the opportunity to give these deep dives and give you guys a little bit extra time, a little bit more content, a little bit more projects and activities and stuff like that we always wanted to do. We've always wanted to do shows like this, but we've always wanted to give you guys more of us and give you guys more opportunities to hear us. So just hang tight. Next week, I will reveal what the new show that me and Cyrus are doing. But you also have this month's Spot Callers, where me and Cyrus will be talking about PWG All-Star Weekend 13. So we're watching that for Spot Callers this month. So stay on the lookout for that as well on the Patreon. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on the Patreon. A lot of stuff.
I love it.
So let's get into No Holds Barred for the week. A lot of stuff going on. This week in No Holds.
a lot of stuff, let's get through it. Let's get through it because, well, I don't even know. Between No Holds Barred, Friday Night SmackDown, Monday Night Raw, I'm not sure which has actually the most stuff that we need to talk about. There's a lot of stuff that's
Probably
going
no holds
down.
barred. Probably no holds barred this week. So
Okay.
WWE Draft is rumored for August 30th and September 3rd via the Matt Men Wrestling Podcast. They've broke some news in the past couple weeks that has come true. Namely, a lot. I forgot what they broke. Did they break the SummerSlam news? I want to say one of their guys did the actual location of it. They broke,
Man.
whatever. I don't know, but it's gonna happen. So we've been hearing about call ups happening. And it looks like we'll only have to wait a little bit under 2 months to get these call ups, which makes sense to me. NXT has to go through its last phase of going to a takeover, namely a SummerSlam takeover to have people called up. You got to finish off these storylines, and if this gives them time to do it, they better wrap it up now. And it makes sense. So, what do you think? What do you feel about the draft? I mean, it's needed, bro. You know what I mean? Like we've been in the pandemic roster for a while.
Right. I love the draft. I mean, I love the draft kind of every month. I would like to see a much more like, like we've talked about the influx of new talent. I think there's only so many times you can shuffle the same talent between Raw and SmackDown before we're right back where we started. Before we're right back into damn, how did we get to Miz versus Dolph Ziggler again? Like, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like, there's only so much times we can shuffle the same roster back and forth.
Well,
So I would really
different
go
because
ahead.
it's different because we're missing people now. So we're missing at least 20 to 30 people from these rosters now that have to be filled with NXT people now. So
Yeah.
it's not going to be like we're going to be dealing with a really handicapped roster until this time. We know this, and we should definitely expect it, especially for. Well, I mean, Raw seems to be using their people now. SmackDown seems to be they got their core, middle, and top card, but we're gonna see how it breaks down. I just think it's gonna be funny that people who like love SmackDown now, are they gonna love it in October when these rosters completely change? Is gonna be my question.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I think SmackDown. if you keep a couple of big names on SmackDown, you're pretty much set. Like,
But
to be honest with you.
they're loaded. They have all the people that people like, right?
Yeah.
So they have KO, they have Seth, they have Cesaro, they have Biggie. Like, will we see another swap? Will we see New Day get swapped back? Like what are we gonna do? Like, it's gonna be really interesting.
That would be wild. That would be actually cool.
Yeah.
Would Biggie move to Raw, New Day to move to SmackDown? Huh. Interesting.
That'd be super interesting. Speaking of interesting, our good pal Tommy End, formerly known as Aleister Black, has been on social media quite a bit since last week. Of course, if you haven't, listened to our releases episode on last week, our emergency podcast about the WWE releases, please check that out and hear our thoughts about it. And here's some of his quotes about his time there at WWE. But people, namely journalists like David Bixens's band, have been very critical for some reason of Aleister Black, saying that he had a positive situation there. He was really cool with Vince. Bruce Pritchard protected him, and that he was not bitter about his release. And you're getting a different energy, right, about the things that he's saying.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody got to be bitter about how it went down. You know what I'm saying?
Like, why are we trying to make up a situation where Aleister is somehow going to be mad about a job that employed him and his wife for the better part of 5 years, right? Like,
and he probably wants to go back, to be real with you. I mean, he don't have to, but he probably does want to. And he wants to be kind of in good standing. Listen, it's not beneficial to really kind of talk down any of these places. The wrestling business is not a massive business. You can definitely get stuff done in other places. You can try to angle your way in, but it's not a massive business, so you don't really want to cut a lot of ties. I mean, those who want to believe they can, and they will. And to be honest with you, Vince will still hire you back because Vince don't give a fuck. Like, he really don't care.
But to bring up something as like, I mean, this is deathly serious. Like Stockholm syndrome is like hostages. Like, Vince isn't putting a gun to Aleister Black's head and saying, sit back and go out there. And then people are like, oh, well, he's the one who fired him. Why would he be cool with it? And I'm like, didn't Aleister himself say that he understood the nature of why he was released and what happened? So, I mean, he seems to understand what the situation is. If he's my thing is like, if he's not mad about it, why the fuck are we?
Yeah.
Why are
To
we
be
mad
real
about
with you.
like why do I give a shit if he doesn't care? He's not saying he was wrong. He's not saying any of that stuff. And I'm not. It's not to say that he didn't have situations that chafed him, and he's talked about the situations that made him upset. Okay, so it's just really incredible that people are trying to put this on my guy like this. Like that's fucked up. Like honestly, Meelz, like I'm more inclined to follow Aleister wherever, or Tommy wherever he goes, because of the way he's handled the situation. I don't like the whole go on social media, air your grievances, all that shit. I don't like that shit.
Yeah,
I'm
me
like
neither.
that
It's
shit is
played
corny.
out.
Yeah, it's super play. It was cool the first time, and I just got to be clear with it. Like there is a real sense of not only entitlement, which is fine in some instances as a fan, because as a fan you are entitled to want a good product, and that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
But since and it's crazy because CM Punk has had a lot to say about things like, oh, I feel like the Roman Reigns turn is 5 years too late and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, 5 years ago, why you think that couldn't happen? Why you think he couldn't reach the level he's at right now? Because of you. Because of what you said.
CM Punk is a failure. Like, to be
Like,
real with you, let's keep it a stack. CM Punk is a failure. He had a great wrestling career, and then he decided to leave, and he thought he was gonna be big shit outside of it. And guess what? You're not.
he's not. I think
He's
it's
not even
so.
close.
I think it's so insane that he comes out, well, this company's run like a blockbuster thing with terrible company and talking about the
You
relationship.
run a company then. Come on, man. Let's
It's like,
stop,
bro,
please.
yeah,
Stop.
you
Shut
dip.
up.
Yeah, like bro, you dip. You look like death warmed over now, bro. Like you dip.
Yeah, you did mad
Wow.
years ago. They got mad bread since then. And what if you
I,
got beat up in UFC twice?
I still say to this day, I'm so glad they never let him main event in WrestleMania. I'm just gonna say it right now, I'm glad they never did. I'm glad. Imagine what he would be like right now if he was still in the company. He'd be worse than
That'd be
Roman. He'd be beating. He would be worse than Roman right now. He beat everybody.
my
But
man is.
but it's like there's that. I think that Punk, and I mean I don't know if you think this is cap or not. I think that Punk is the one who galvanized these fans to act the way, like he started the Reddit era. He started the kind of like the Twitter era of what we have now, where it's like it has to be extreme. It has to be a pipe bomb when you leave. It has to be a pipe bomb podcast when you leave. Because now you see everyone who leaves, they go straight to a podcast. They go straight to Talk is Jericho. Aleister is on Renee's podcast this week. He's not saying anything negative, so it's not getting any news. No one's talking about the podcast because he's not talking about anything negative. It's crazy.
It's insane. It is what it is.
Did you know he was on the podcast this week?
Nah, I ain't know.
Exactly.
Oh,
But you would have
no.
known. You would have
Not
known
my
if
brand of podcast, but to everyone involved,
I'm
best
saying,
of
like,
wishes to you.
you would have saw quotes from it though, right? Like you would have definitely been able to be, oh yeah, I saw that this morning. He said that Vince took a shit in his bag or some shit, right? But it didn't happen. And I think it's because everyone's looking for this pipe bomb and it just always doesn't happen. But that's my thought on the Aleister situation. Meelz, what are your thoughts, a week later, kind of like on these releases?
Everyone looks in good spirits.
Yeah.
Like they look like they're incredibly sad in the beginning, shocked and stuff, and then they're just like, oh well, I'm optimistic about my future. And you know what? By all means, be optimistic about your future. We told Braun get in some movies. I hope you read in some scripts. Um, you know, the Ruby Riot seems like she's getting to a better place now. I haven't checked in on Santana Garrett, but I didn't really check in when she was there, so I don't I don't know how much has actually changed.
Yeah.
But Buddy Murphy, he's taking bookings. He put his email in the thing. I was like, yo, you want to be on the A show, man? You want to
What?
line up on the A show?
Hey, let's email Buddy Murphy.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do
Let's
that.
email
I'm
Buddy
sure
Murphy.
he's a great guy to talk to. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
let's
saying?
do it. I mean, there is the best thing about this news is that there's no news, is that no one is, everyone's letting their 90-day ride out. I'm sure Ruby Riot will talk when she wants to. I'm sure Braun will talk when he wants to. I'm sure Santana will talk when she wants to. But everyone seems to be letting it ride out, and I'm fine with it because honestly, what could Braun say? Like, what could a Braun say?
They didn't let me be champion against Brock, so
Like
Yeah.
how crazy is it? The niggas has been like, man, y'all couldn't figure out a way to make Braun work, and then you search their tweets and they're like, Braun sucks, and it's just like, okay,
He sucked for a while. Like he wasn't that great.
he was ass. But yeah, one last thing, your boy Andrade debut. Oh, I'm sorry, Andrade El
Andrade
Idolo. Yeah, he
El
debuted
Idolo.
on what Quan says is one of the worst episodes of Dynamite that he's ever seen, and I laughed.
I think I watched part of it. I saw when he debuted. What else did I watch? I don't fucking remember. I was switching between that and NBA because Kawhi was going crazy. Yeah, I don't remember much of it. Yeah, it had to be bad.
They're reporting.
Oh, it ended with Dustin Rhodes versus some
dude.
some goof. Yeah, some dude. Sorry, friend.
But they're reporting that Andrade, in order to sign, he basically tasked Tony Khan to the only way that he would sign is that if he had some sort of light creative control over the matches that he's going to lose and what the matches that he's going to have. And I said, well, that's never been a bad idea before.
I applaud that man. Listen, don't let Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks try to dictate your career. You see what they did to everybody else? They have some of them. They have some of the greatest talent in wrestling today. Like, but as much as you can shit on them for the actual stories, they have some of the greatest talent in wrestling today. And look how they're used. Friggin' Kenny Omega just hit Pac over the head with 4 different belts. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Pac is really wasting his life.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was like, bro, you was mad over this. You couldn't be that mad. Like, you couldn't, like, how mad were you? Like, you set out your contract for like 9 months, but you really trying to be doing you. Now it's feel like you've been sitting in the darkness for like fucking 18 months. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just it couldn't have been that bad. Andrade, listen, he's there. I do think if they use him right, which hopefully he will choose to be used right, because they've been using a lot of people. Freaking Christian Cage, you out there teaming with Jungle Boy. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, that boy about to be feuding with Matt Hardy.
Feuding with Matt Hardy, bro. Like, you see what world we in? Like, you see what Christian stepped in? And he thought, I don't know, I'm not going to be as popping as Edge. Edge hasn't been around for weeks. This could have been all you, my friend. You could have been versus the tribal chief. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, sure, Edge would have saved you. But still, like, come on, man. I props to Andrade for getting his creative control.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about that.
I mean, listen, man. Hey. what can you say? So we're gonna talk about Raw and SmackDown after the show, and then we're gonna wrap it up. So we'll be right back on the A Show.
Okay. No. I got this. Oh. I got this. Okay. It's not happening. I got it. Okay. Okay. Oh.
Look behind you, Shayna.
No. It's just a doll.
Listen, man, say what you got to say. I know what you're gonna say about this segment.
Let's get it. When we get to Raw, I'll talk about it.
Don't bring no smoke to Shayna, because I thought that she was completely game for that segment. I thought that she was probably the best part about it. Everything else was bad, but Shayna was actually the best part about it to me. So we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about.
I guess we're gonna talk about the Raw, baby. Come on.
We're gonna talk about Raw and SmackDown here. Let's start off with Friday Night SmackDown. Roman Reigns, the Usos, and now the Mysterios tangling it up and potentially meeting each other at Hell in a Cell. I thought it was a great story throughout the show. I thought it makes sense, and I think that there's a lot more at stake here than just like the titles and stuff like that. It's like a family thing, and I think it's a really good storyline for Roman to be in.
I agree. I wish, you know what? Could have used some extra build from Rey Mysterio. That's all I would say about it. Maybe we could have used. I mean, I don't know if you predict you get here from there. I don't know if this is the last match in this occasion. But I think Rey Mysterio could have benefited if we are going Rey versus Roman. He could have easily benefited from like, all right, maybe we give him a couple wins here and there over some monumental opponents and stuff like that. But otherwise, I think the story itself, once again, the story about brothers, the story about father and son, the story about family, it's all intertwining. It just works. It sells itself, to be honest.
Right.
If you know all the characters within the thing, it sells itself. I'm all for Roman Reigns versus Rey Mysterio one-on-one. I think I'm hearing it's a first time ever, which is very rare in WWE nowadays, considering how many times we've seen various matches back to back to back to back to back on the same show. So for a first time ever, I would be 100% for this.
Yeah. Hey, give me Ray and Roman, man. Never happened before. Let's do it. I'm with it.
Doesn't he beat the shit out of Dominic, by the way? Oof.
the
Put
dog
the paws on him.
The dog shit out of him, bro. So next up on SmackDown, Bianca Belair versus Bayley. How do we feel like everything's going with this feud? Bianca cut a pretty good promo, I thought. I think that it's very rare you see a babyface talk about their insecurities. Talk about things that have bothered them. I keep hearing from people that Bianca is just another person on the roster. And I honestly don't see it. I think that they've kept her pretty strong and not stupid looking. I think that the people don't understand what Bayley's doing, and I think that that's more of a lesson of like they don't explain it very well. But I think that obviously Bayley needling her and getting at her insecurities, which is what she explained, is what they needed in the story. And I wish they would have did it earlier. But hey, like I thought Bianca carried herself really well.
I agree. And I think my favorite part about the segment was actually the Bayley part, because it looks like I don't want to say she's close to the brink of insanity.
Yes.
Because it looks like she's in complete control of what she's doing. Now she kind of seems more so like a very over the top evil villain, which works because she is over the top and she looks absolutely insane. And what they did in the Thunderdome, I thought was a great use of the Thunderdome and could only be done in the Thunderdome. So I thought that was a great touch to this segment with her laughing all around her. I thought it was a very strong segment heading into this Hell in a Cell match. And when you see the promo for it, which I'm sure they're going to do, it's going to pop. It's going to be amazing. I'm looking forward to this match.
The commercial's already out with the laughing screen.
Great.
It's really cool. It's good. I mean, again, we knew Bianca would be up against a lot, but the best thing that SmackDown has for her is the fact that Bayley and Sasha are there. And I think that you could carry her throughout the summer with those two alone and you'll be fine. I think she's got a better road than Rhea does right now on Raw. So like I'm completely fine. I think Bianca's going to be fine. And it should be a good match. We'll see what they do this week and at the go home next week. What is up with Seth Rollins? What's going on with him? Now, you want to talk about somebody on the brink of insanity? He's there and over it.
What is up with him? Does he have a bad knee? Like, what is going on?
Wrestle.
I want him wrestling. I don't want him talking. He don't make no sense. And he doesn't say anything. And he leaves those segments abruptly. It becomes a waste of time. I know he's selling hard the Cesaro thing, but Cesaro's not there. You know who needs to be there? It's Cesaro to be able to sell
the injury. It's on the injury.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I think that we get the cell announcement. I think that's going to be your second cell match. No women's cell matches this time around because there's really no storyline that needs it. But I think the Seth and Cesaro is going to be the second cell match. That's the only match, honestly, on the card that needs it. To be honest with you,
I feel like we're going to end up getting Rhea versus Charlotte in a cell, or Bianca versus Bayley in a cell. I do think we'll have a women's one. It just seems. I think they're on the wave now. We got to have a men's one. We got to have a women's one.
So you think they're going to do 3? Because that's what they've been doing for the past couple years. Is 3.
Yeah, maybe, but I hope not. I don't know. It's been shorter pay-per-views. I don't know.
They'll. I mean, there are barely any matches announced, right? So there's only been the women's matches and Bobby and Drew, and that's it so far. So It is a shorter pay-per-view overall. So
Okay. I mean, I could definitely see it.
no Big E again. Well, I mean, it's obvious we know why.
What was with that news of like they have no plans for Big E, and it's like, duh,
you stupid fucking idiot. Like do you think for once could you please just kind of just work with us here? Like
I
obviously,
was like, I hope no one's eating this up because it's like, duh, his partner was just. Of course, there's no immediate plan. They got to think of some new shit. Come on,
I'm sure he'll be back. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm pretty sure that they're gonna give him the IC title back at this point because I'm sure that was gonna be the plan anyway. The Aleister thing was just gonna be a detour for him. I'm pretty sure he's just gonna get the IC title back.
And then I'm pretty sure Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz will end up being in the tag division somehow. So
I ain't mad at that.
I ain't mad at it either.
Hey, Street Profits doing African accents. Turn it up.
No. Not turning it up. Otis.
Speaking of Street Profits, I commend them for trying to keep them on TV. They don't got nothing for these niggas to do.
No, clearly not. Clearly not. Like they just want to because they're cool, Yeah.
If they're not with the belt, we don't know. We don't know, y'all. We lost.
Belt's back. I don't know. Whatever.
What else happened on SmackDown?
Not really. Not much.
Morgan lost.
Liv Morgan. Yeah, Liv Morgan lost to Carmella.
We got mad about that. I'm like, what would you think? She's supposed to give a pity win? Because she didn't get let go.
I don't know what we doing with Carmella. That's a bigger question.
They're building her up for something.
Maybe. What was my favorite part of SmackDown was when Roman called Jay Jimmy and was like, doesn't even matter.
Green. If I was Jimmy, I would have walked off on that nigga.
My nigga was sulking.
Why are they so afraid of this nigga? It's two of them and one of him. Beat that nigga ass.
Because he beat them both up in the cell.
One of them had one. They had 3 legs between them. They have 4 now. like they can beat his nigga's ass. Beat his ass.
I don't know. Beat his ass. How about that?
Let's go to Raw. Let's get the final segment out the way because I rather enjoyed Raw for what it was on Monday until that segment. I don't think the segment was enough to ruin the show. To be clear, I know this is like people are saying this is worst of the year territory. I'm like, not even close. We saw a nigga get surrounded by sparklers in a ring to end the show this year.
My beef with it was it seemed so poorly edited. Like that was my main beef with this. It seems so like this is $1 billion company. If we're gonna do things like this, go all cinematic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like go all the way. Let's not do this. Like for instance, that NXT, I'll never forget it because it's still one of the best wrestling shows I've ever seen. The NXT Halloween episode with Dexter Loomis and Cameron Grimes and
the zombies.
Bro, if we're gonna do this all the way. Don't do those shitty takeaway angles and like shit cutting up and suddenly we're under Shayna's foot. Yeah. And suddenly all that, I was like, yo, let's not, please. It looked cheap. That was my main beef with it.
It felt like there was too many people saying, no, do this, no, do this, no, do this. And nobody was telling them no. And I think that in general, the idea is correct because Shayna, you're breaking her. And I think I said it last week. Don't have her crying, right? Like, don't have her like Seth, like in the corner crying. She looked, like
my man.
She looked tough, okay? Like she did still look kind of like, all right, whatever. Because she
don't believe this shit, man.
Exactly. I thought that, like I said at the top of the segment, I thought that it was I thought Shayna was very, very good. I thought she was good here. And I just want to be clear. Y'all did not fuck with her when she was beating everybody's ass, okay? Y'all were not.
Remind people about that. We gotta remind people.
You have to. Y'all was saying, remember when she beat Kyrie the second time? And niggas was like, oh, hell no. Like, y'all was not fucking with her back in the day. Let's be clear about it, all right? She got something to do now. I'm not saying it's the best thing, all right? I'm not saying it's the greatest thing ever, okay? However, she's able to show a lot more today than she was able to show being MMA badass that bites people on their fucking neck, on their head or whatever the fuck she did to Becky.
I agree.
She squashed the whole roster in 15 minutes. There was nothing else for this nigga to do. She got to do something.
I made you call her a nigga.
My bad. I ain't calling
no, it was very ungood. That's how I kind of review this segment. It was very ungood.
You had me scared. You were like, it's on guys. I don't know. I'm like, what happened?
No, because you were like, yo, this thing is rocking, and I was like, you were like, who's writing this? I was like, you may want to hold that off until then.
That was clearly a different team because like we're gonna get to the opening segment. The opening segment was all
Bruce and him.
It was tremendous. I thought the opening segment was good. The Miz falling down the wheelchair. AJ Styles saying that's cap. That's a lie. Randy Orton trying not to laugh his ass off. That listen, I know.
It had a lot of great things. I loved it.
The actual match itself was really fun. And I think that the only reason that these matches end up being fun is because AJ just loves to work with the New Day, and you can tell. And you can tell that the New Day loves to work with Randy and Riddle, and they just have chemistry. But you also had new people in the match. Well, obviously, Grand Metalik. Shout out to our homeboy Grand Metalik. I hope you get well soon. But John Morrison had to fill in for him with Lince Dorado, and that ended up being really fire. And like I thought that again, the right team won. They actually did something right for once.
Listen, Viking Raiders, we here. Viking Raiders versus AJ Styles and Omos. I think it's a great showcase once again of the Viking Raiders. I mean, they were former tag team champions. They've been off TV for a while. They haven't been in a prominent role. I'm glad to see them back in this spot because we know they can go and we know they can bring it. And that's all kind of we want from them. It's like,
we want to see. They even teased the T-Bar and Mace match with these two, and I'm like, I hope we get that really soon because I think that has the potential to be a banger, especially considering three of the guys in that group. So like, let's see it happen. I want to see it happen.
I agree.
Jackson Riker, man. Oh, and actually, before we get to Jackson Riker, RK Bro, they got merch.
Oh, they do. Is it official?
Yes, they got merch. It's good merch. I'm not gonna lie to you.
A snake on a scooter?
No, what Randy's thing? I'm more so talking about Randy's.
I'm saying.
He had the stallion. But the stallion was vipers in the hair. It was snakes in his hair.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It was hard.
I see the vision. They have the RK Bro collection on WWE Shop. Let's see.
Let's go
through this.
They're going all in.
Oh, these niggas got mugs. They got hoodies. They got tank tops. They got zipped up hoodies. They got. That's pretty much it. But they got a lot.
Yeah, they got a lot. I continue to enjoy this team. I continue to think that this is probably the best thing for Randy Orton and really the best thing for Riddle. I just want to let people know, regardless of where you're standing, they're setting up Riddle for something big soon. They're giving him a lot. And you don't really see people that aren't like AJ or Seth or stuff like that get the type of prominence that he has where he wrestles 2 matches a show. He wrestles with Kofi in one, and he's got Randy Orton's cosign. I mean, you got to say there's not many people on the roster that's getting that type of look. So just be ready for whatever they have planned for this guy.
Listen, let's move over to the real crime on Monday Night Raw. Jackson Riker. So first of all, it was a real crime last week because as soon as we finished recording, I was like, fuck, we forgot to go in on the Elias and Jackson Riker thing because that promo was green. But it was also awesome.
He was gone. We thought that nigga was gone.
We thought the next day, I was like, I'm gonna be surprised this nigga's released the next day. And then they released 6 perfectly fine people and they took the real ones and let this imposter stay. Let this imposter stay, and now he's being built as the next. First of all, got a haircut, looks terrible.
He looks even more like an insurrectionist.
Why do you think they broke him up for real?
I don't know. That's one of the great mysteries. There must be somebody in creative that sees a lot in him. He must know where the bodies are buried. Because I thought with Drake Wirtz, I thought it was over with. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, we don't play that. We don't play that. No.
So I don't know. They had a terrible match, by the way. So like, there's someone has to be seeing this.
Jackson Riker versus Elias. You couldn't pay me to watch that blood feud, man.
I
Put that shit on Dynamite.
The MAGA powers collide, bro. Like I skipped the fuck out of that shit. Sorry, I can't.
The fact that they want him to be a babyface.
Yeah. No sir.
2021.
No sir. No. So Drew and Bobby had their contract signing complete with swords.
First of all, chicks and swords, man. How much you think they're paying them on a weekly basis? Because now they're recurring. Now these ladies, if this is 2005, they're getting a high spots, shoot interview of like how they've been doing over the last 3 weeks. How's their run?
Yeah, I would say that they probably get at least up 1,500 to 2,000 a week, maybe.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. Listen, hate to be Santana Garrett is tight.
Oh my god.
But nonetheless, Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley. I like the confidence both of them are exuding, especially coming from Bobby, who's really like, "Oh, this is gonna be Hell in a Cell." I bet.
Yeah, I gotta say again, I always get proven right. Y'all keep talking about this feud, and it keeps it keeps working. It works for me. I think that Drew, the thing that works for me with Drew is that he's very earnest in his promos. I think that like when you think he's gonna go one way, he'll turn around and be like, no, let me go ultra babyface here. You know what I mean? Like I like the way he told that story and said, nah, fuck it, I'm gonna beat Bobby Lashley's ass. What if he said I'm gonna beat Bobby Lashley's black ass? Would you be okay?
And then pulled up with that sword, and I was like, yo, he's got a knife in the ring. How comes no one's stopping him? And he used it threateningly.
I know. Adam Pearce is like, whoa. Also,
Adam Pearce is like, whoa, buddy.
Also, Adam Pearce, Sonya Deville storyline completely dropped. My influence.
Okay, all right. Maybe people were like, yo, listen. People don't really like Adam Pearce anyway.
My fucking influence. I'm excited for the match. I'm glad they finally fucking announced it. Announced the cage stipulation or the cell stipulation for it. I think it's gonna be good. I think Drew needs to lose. The story is that he can't win it or he can't challenge Bobby for it ever again if he loses, and I'm fine with that. I think he needs to lose. I think he needs to
loses and then drives his ass over to SmackDown.
Turn it up to face Roman.
Roman.
Tell me you won't be that. That would be turned. That would be super fucking turned.
It would be amazing. It would be amazing. I would love it.
Like that. That'd be great. And the story that it would connect to from their Survivor Series match would be just spectacular.
I would love it. So listen, if this happens, if I'm down with if Bobby wins, because I really don't want to see this no more. But so if this is the way it goes, hi ho Bobby. Listen, I'm down for it. Looking like a mega LA Reid. Like
wow. Wow. Hey, he better watch the way he be touching them girls if I tell his wife. I'm a snitch.
No, they be telling you. See him on Raw Talk. They were like massaging his head. They were doing one of them. Listen, they all look like they auditioning for a permanent roster spot.
I know.
They nodding. The way they playing up the gimmick.
Again, who's the? Oh no, Johnny Ace says he's probably like, hey, we got a couple spots, a couple lockers open.
You girls know how to wrestle.
let me stop before they get hired and they become QAnon or some shit. The NXT locker room is good. They get Finn out of that fucking locker room. He is too blessed for this world to be in that locker room. Get him out of here.
Get him out of there. Listen,
but that was that everything, bro?
That was pretty much. I mean, Raw had a good undercard. They featured a lot of people.
Sheamus
broken nose, broken nose Sheamus. I didn't like how they make Ricochet and Humberto Carrillo both lose, because at this point I was expecting, all right, one of them's got to win, and then they both fucking lost.
It was a draw.
It was a number one contender match. Like, I don't know, whatever. Listen, Jeff Hardy's back on Raw. They heard my they heard my booking. And it's like, oh, Jeff, word? You gotta get Jeff back on Raw. This is what the kids love, Jeff. And listen, he's out there. But that was really it.
Yeah,
that was really it. Yeah.
That was it for Raw and SmackDown.
The tag match I could do without. The ladies tag match, I was like, all right, whatever.
That was it for Raw. Once again, thank you all for listening to the A Show. Of course, we have so much content coming to you. We have the Invasion Diaries, which just aired on Monday. Check that out on our Patreon if you haven't heard it already. We also have the War Report with Cyrus and Quan every Friday, especially with some extra content. They do a lot of extra content for Patreon. Y'all need to tap into that. Like they really be working hard.
Come on,
they're working hard for the Patreon dollars. I gotta say they're doing it. They're doing the damn thing. We also have Spot Callers, a special episode of Spot Callers with Cyrus and I forgot the young lady's name, but they're both reviewing the Hana Kimura tribute show. So definitely check that out if you get a chance. And of course, I'm going to announce a show next week. So make sure that you're there when we do that. So for Meelz, I am Justin. Thank you for listening to the A Show, and we'll see you next week.
Playmakers.
Run that back, turbo. Did the dash and I blow the brains. Dash and I blow the brain. Got cash on a private plane. Couple M's, I'm sounding strange.